You ever found yourself asking for help on a project that, in all honesty, if you looked at it from anybody else's outside view, you'd say, it's probably not that big a deal, but it's a really big deal to me. You ask for help because you feel like I probably could do this kind of on my own, but it would be much better if I had someone else helping me. And in fact, it would go much smoother if someone else would help me. In fact, I'd be okay if someone else would do it and I could just watch to make sure that I don't do it wrong. Maybe that's a CAD drawing where there's a professional around who could actually do it better. Maybe it's mechanic work or making the Thanksgiving dinner. It's a whole lot easier to step back and let the pros handle it and not really get involved and get your hands dirty and take a chance that it might not come out perfect and then you kind of wouldn't feel right or your reputation might be on the line. Is it just me? Anybody else with me on that? You feel like you could dive in and you might be able to kind of grunt your way through it, but it wouldn't be a 10 out of 10. It might be a 7 or an 8. And so in some ways you feel like, well, I'll leave that to the pros. I'll let the pros handle it. And so we kind of back out of that engagement. Even if it's our assignment, even if it's our project, we kind of back out, we let the pros handle it, and we leave it alone. Because we don't want to do it okay and be embarrassed. Now, while you've kind of got that illustration, that image in your head, I want you to ask honestly, are there areas in my life as a leader, as a parent, as a business owner, as a manager, that I've kind of been waiting for someone to step in and take over, to solve this problem for me, and it's just not happening as fast as I want it to? And the true reality is you're the best answer to the problem. In fact, it may be one of those things that no one else can do but you. It's a problem that isn't designed to be solved by someone else, even the pros, even the experts. It's a problem designed to be solved by you. A solution that only you have. An opportunity that will come only for you. In fact, it's an opportunity that if it comes and someone else embarks on it, it will fail miserably. It's you. It's all on you. It depends on you. It counts on you. The success of this project may not be off the charts great. It may not be a 10. It may not even be a 9. But it counts on you to make it happen. Have you been there? Maybe you're there right now as a leader. There's a project looming. There's a thing that has to be done that no one else can do but you. But you keep kind of putting it off. You've kind of pushed away from it. You've kind of said, I'm waiting to see if someone more capable, more competent, more responsible, someone willing to take the blame if it doesn't go right, will come in and do it for me. Now I want to lay beside that a different analogy. There's a movie from many, many years ago. In fact, when I was a kid, it was a television show. It wasn't really a sitcom, but it was a series, like a Lone Ranger kind of thing. It was on every day, and it was always a different episode, but it was an everyday episode. It was called Walking Tall. And since Walking Tall came out, there's been a movie made with Dwayne Johnson in it, where he played the same guy. And this television was actually made from a real life story of a man who was taken advantage of in a small town, and the system of the law was corrupt, and they did whatever they wanted to, and he didn't like it, so he fought against the system until he became the sheriff, and he took over and changed the way law was done in his little town. But they used to ask him, how come you never carry a gun? And his answer was that he carried a stick instead. Now, I know as a parent, raising my children, I was raised with corporal punishment. I used it early on in my children's lives. I don't have to anymore. In fact, I didn't have to after a very early age in their life because I was quick to respond, I believe judicious in their lives. And before they were 7, 8, 9 years old, we didn't need that anymore. But the very real possibility, the very real threat, if you will, became enough to say, that's not a line you want to cross. That's not an idea you want to test. If dad says don't, you better don't, because the next thing isn't going to be any fun. In many places, law enforcement, military law enforcement, or just regular everyday law enforcement carry sidearms on their hip in full view. And the reason they carry them in full view is to let you know, I am equipped, I am prepared, I am armed, I am ready to be the solution to the problem in a moment's notice. Most of the time, except where lawlessness prevails, most of the time, that is enough of a deterrent to prevent things from going awry. Most of the time, a show of force to say, let me just show you what I have behind curtain number 3, is enough to say, let's keep this on the up and up. Let's be fair with everyone. Let's be just with everyone. Let's treat everyone equally. Not to be a bully, not to be intimidating for the sake of manipulation and control, but to say, listen, I just want you to know, if something goes wrong here, I am more than prepared to handle it. Now, what if those two realities are at tension with each other? The idea that there is a problem to be solved, and while you may be waiting for the pros to solve it, you realize you are the solution. You are the one who's got to deal with this. Yes, your tax accountant can do your paperwork at the end of the year, but if you're not managing your budget, your tax accountant can't put money back in your account that you spent. Your accountant can't put money there that was never there to begin with. Your accountant can't pay bills that you've accumulated outside of your ability to earn income. That's a problem to be solved that no matter how good the pro is, you are the solution to the problem and you have to solve it. If you've lost a customer because of your customer service, no amount of outside PR agencies, no amount of marketing, no amount of making up with your customer is going to fix that problem. You are the solution to that problem. You have to solve it. Are you following me so far? Because sometimes we allow that same mentality to transfer over into our spiritual life. Well, we have the guys with the guns that, if somebody's digging through your trash late at night and it startles you and it scares you, one solution would be that you grab a baseball bat and go to the garage and go, what are you doing? Get out of my garbage, get out of my driveway, get out of my yard, leave us alone. Another would be to call 911 and have the pros who have their sidearm clearly visible show up on scene and with the show of force let them know this is not a place you want to be, don't come back here again. And so the solution being you versus the solution being the pros who are ready for battle, those lines get blurred. It's real easy to simply defer because then not only do you defer the responsibility, you defer the blame. See, if that guy who dug through your garbage last night shows up again and you scared him off with a baseball bat, this time you may have to escalate and now the police are going to show up. If the first time the police showed up and he comes back again, then you can blame the police that he came back again, right? Because that's what we tend to do. If your accountant didn't get the tax refund that you wanted to get because you didn't do your own taxes and you didn't manage your budget all year, you handed it over to the accountant. Next year, when it's time to get a refund, you can go back to your accountant and go, you didn't do this right last year. I want it cheaper. I want it better. I want a better refund. I want you to explain what went wrong. The whole list goes on because you've given it over to somebody else. They're to blame for it, right? Anybody following me so far? See, there are those things that you wish were not your fault. You wish were not your problem. You wish that you were not the solution to them because you don't want to take responsibility and you want to be able to cast the blame. But see, these people who are ultimately equipped, that show of force, the accountant with all the numbers behind their name, the doctor with all of the letters behind their name, the ability of the law enforcement or the soldier or the police, the firefighter to show up on the scene and take care of the problem, their readiness, their equippedness, their tools makes them the solution to the problem, but it doesn't put the blame necessarily on their shoulders. When a community has lost its ability to be led and it finds itself in lawlessness, when the solution to the problem is actually the problem itself, when the only way to solve the leadership failure in your organization is to change the leader, no amount of show of force, no amount of authorities, no amount of politicians or lawyers or judges or accountants or law enforcement officers, they're not going to be able to solve the problem. Yes, they have the authority. Yes, they have the power. Yes, they have the show of force, but they can't solve your problem when it's your problem to be solved, especially if you're the best solution to the problem. I want to take that one step deeper. See, we've seen communities lost in race where the issues get out of hand and the community loses control of itself, and law enforcement tries and fails to solve the problem. Law enforcement comes in and becomes a bigger part of the problem. Politicians come in and stir up the problem. But the problem really is a heart condition. It's a heart issue of the people at the core of the problem. Whether it started with one encounter with two people with the wrong attitude, or it started as a community uprising because someone felt like they weren't justly treated, when it gets out of control, the solution to the problem isn't more force from the outside, it's changing the hearts of the people in the center. The solution to your problem of constantly being broke isn't your accountant figuring out your books in a better way. It's you not spending more than you make. It's not that complicated, but it is a you solution. When you have a problem in your marriage, an affair, someone outside who's prettier, who's more handsome, who's richer, who has a better job, who has a better house, that's not the answer to solving your marriage problem. The marriage problem is you. You are at the center of it. You are the solution. When you run a retail establishment and you're not selling a product that needs to be sold because you've got them on your shelf, but nobody wants to buy them. I'm sure by now everyone has seen the meme. It's floating all over Facebook of trying to remember the name of the flavor of potato chips, but they're made by Lay's. They're in a blue package, and when the store shelves were bare, these were still on the shelf. I can't remember what the name of the flavor was, but they were still on the shelf. No one wanted to buy them. They were starving. The store shelves were empty, but those chips were still there. Okay, that's not a problem of the retail store ownership. That's not a problem of the consumer. It's nothing that the taxing authority can do in town to make those chips sell. If you made a dud, you made a dud. It's on you. You have to fix it. You, Mr. Lay's potato chip, has to come up with a better flavor than whatever that was, because nobody wants that. If you can't give it away, it's going to be hard to sell it. That reality exists in our spiritual life as well. We have problems that we want to blame on one another. We want to blame on our culture. We want to blame on our pastor. We want to blame on the deacons or the elders at our church. We want to blame it on anybody. Problems that no one else started, no one else caused, no one else exacerbated, but no one else can solve. It's on you. We back through life looking for ways out of these problems and solutions. We want someone else to come in and solve that problem in the financial world, in our medical world, in our don't eat right for several years and then blame it on the doctor that you have diabetes. Sound familiar? I know you're tracking with me. I know you understand what I'm saying. Not taking responsibility for the decision in your life, and then you call in the big guns, so to speak, to handle the problem because they have the authority, they have the power. What if you find yourself in that place where constantly you're praying, God, I need a miracle in my life. God, I need a miracle in my life. I need a financial miracle. I need a healing miracle. God, I need something in my life to change the way things are. I don't like the way my life is working out. I don't like my relationships. I don't like my finances. I don't like my job. Right? I don't like the way the neighbors treat me. And so we take it to church and we go to the altar and we ask someone to pray, God, solve this problem in my life. Bring a solution into my life. Make my neighbors nicer people. Make my boss not be a jerk. Give me a better paying job. Make my accountant find more money for my tax return. Make my bills get smaller. Make my health get better. And while we've brought in the big guns, we brought in the specialists, the authorities, the ones that we want to be able to say, see, they did it. They prayed for healing and it didn't happen. They asked for God to bless me financially and it didn't happen. They prayed over our marriage and it still fell apart. Just because you brought in the big guns, what if you're still the problem and you're still the solution? If you are the only one who can change you, how do you blame somebody else? How do you back out of that? How do you walk through life looking at your own problems and go, but somebody's going to have to solve that, and somebody's going to have to solve that, and somebody's going to... What happens when you turn around and go, you know what? God's going to take care of those problems because I'm going to be taking care of his problems. Let me ask you this question. How many of you have found yourself like me saying, I would in my heart want to go to Houston and help somehow, but I can't get the time off. I can't afford to make the trip. I don't have the money. I don't have the resources to give. I got nothing to offer but showing up and maybe moving some stuff around. Well, now's probably not the time in the preparedness cycle to do that because there's still a lot of water. But as it's time for cleanup, how many of you would say, I would love to take the time off and go if I could afford it? See, we're backing through life. We're looking at our own problems and saying, if I just had solutions to my problems, then I could help someone else with theirs. If I could just get past this issue in my life, then I could definitely help take care of someone else's issue in their life. What if you were the only solution to both problems? What if the problem in their life can only be solved by you? What if you're the only one? What if you're the only one that can fix your marriage? What if you're the only one that can fix your finances? What if you're the only one that can transform your health? What if you're the only one who can protect your home? What if you're the only one that can pray for the families in Houston? And you back out and leave it to the authorities. You back out and you say, I don't want to give it a 7. I'd rather someone else do it and make it a 10. I'd rather not engage at all for fear that I might fail. See, maybe it's not just the people along the southeast, the Texas coast that are in need of help, because next it's going to be North Carolina, or it's going to be New York again, or it's going to be Alabama, or it's going to be Florida. See, if you refuse to engage because you don't want to engage where you can't be perfect, then you're not going to engage at all. You're going to back through life the whole time wondering, how do I keep what I have control of in control? Rather than saying, how do I charge into enemy territory and do something for someone else, even if it's not a 10? Because there are a lot of people out there who would appreciate your effort. Your 5 or 6 is better than nothing. You follow me? Whether it's the group that you lead, the company that you manage, the family you're responsible for, the spouse that you love, or the neighbor 1,000 miles away. If you can't see yourself as a solution to your problem and someone else's, then you won't be. I heard a man yesterday say, I prayed and prayed and prayed for miracles and realized that those miracles weren't coming. What I saw as my need, what I thought was what I needed the most, what I asked God for repeatedly, wasn't coming. And finally, I conceded to say, if you're not going to send me a miracle, make me one. Now, maybe you've heard Nick Vujicic speak before. Nick is an incredible speaker. He's a young man in his early 30s. He's a father of two. He's been, I think they said 260 countries, 60, maybe 62 countries. But he's traveled around the world. He's spoken all over the world. He's spoken to world leaders. He's spoken to school children. And when he said, if I can't get the miracle from God that I want, then God make me the miracle. That really resonated with my heart. Because there are so many of us who look at the problems in our life and like, but I just need a little miracle there. God, I'm not even asking for a lot, just a little here and a little there, and just if a little more here. If I could just get those things taken care of. If I could, God, if you just help me solve those. God's going, yeah, but I didn't spend all the money in your account, and I didn't eat all that food without exercising, and I didn't, and I could miraculously solve them, but it'd be a whole lot better if you had better discipline in your life, because then it wouldn't just solve this problem, it would prevent future problems. If I could just have arms and legs. And it was like God said to Nick, but you don't need arms and legs to do what I called you to do. You don't have to have a full bank account. You don't have to have all these things in order. You don't have to call in the pros to solve these problems that honestly are nothing compared to Houston. Houston, we do have a problem right now. Hundreds of thousands of people about to be absolutely homeless. Their homes are going to be washed out to sea for many of them. Many of them, their homes will be so utterly destroyed, there will be no repairing. They will have to strip down beyond the foundation and rebuild. All along the Texas coast. And now is not a time to cast the blame. I saw someone's Facebook post that said Houston's known for 20 years this problem was gonna be huge if they ever got this much flood. Well, yeah, you know what? Tulsa knows that if they ever get hit by a meteorite, they're gonna have major problems too. But what would you expect Tulsa to do to prepare for that? San Francisco knows an earthquake is coming eventually. That will be bigger than anything they've ever prepared for. What would you suspect they should do about that now? And see, now is not a time for casting blame. Now is not a time to put the blame on anybody else's shoulders and sit back and go, well, I didn't do it. See, that's what this mentality leads to, that says, I want to call in the pros to take care of this problem, so when it doesn't go right, there's someone else to blame. You know what? Step up and do something about it. Get out of your easy chair and find a way to help. Go to your neighbors with a Walmart bag and say, hey, do you got any canned goods that maybe you bought on sale and you're not going to eat them? I could pack them up and send them to Houston. Be creative. Gardening tools are going to be needed in Houston when they start uncovering. Chainsaws, backhoes, bobcats, bulldozers. All of those things are going to be in desperate need. You could start preparing right now to be a solution for them there. But you know what else is going to be needed? A lot of spiritual covering, because there's going to be a lot of families that are devastated when life support isn't available anymore because they've lost power at the hospital, or the medical teams can't get to them to treat them the way that they need to be, or the medicines can't get there because of the conditions on the ground. These are soon to be major issues. We can start now to solve them ahead of time, but only if we can turn around and stop facing the petty problems that are following us, and stop backing through life looking for solutions for someone else to solve a problem we created that only we are the answer to, so that we can blame them later. Instead, why don't we turn around and partner up with them and get something real done for someone else? Become the solution. Or as Nick said, and I've made it my own prayer, God, if you're not going to give me a miracle, make me one. If I'm not going to see the solution to the problems in my life, then make me a solution to the problems in someone else's. Tell me, God, what I need to do to make my marriage even better. to make my home life even better, to make my career even better, to make my job situation even better, to make my relationships with my neighbors even better. Tell me what I can do, what I can be responsible for, that I could be the solution to their problems, and then allow me to turn around and be the solution to someone else's. And I want to pray that over you right now. Father God, I want you to begin to lay your hands on the hearts of those who would say, I have problems in my life, but I have to admit they're petty. There are solutions that I've been begging for others to come into my life and solve, and they're my problems to solve. Transform my life by transforming my mind. Father, renew my heart. Make it a heart of flesh that it would feel again. Make me a solution to the problem of those who have no help, who have no hope. Allow me to wield that show of force of prayer, that constant communication with heaven in every situation. Even if it's an instant brainstorm of a new idea that would be an instant solution for someone that they've never thought of. Father, I want that answer to be on the tip of my tongue and the edge of my mind, so ready to be someone else's solution. If the miracle that I've been begging for isn't coming, then make me the miracle someone else has been waiting for. In Jesus' name. My name is J Loren Norris, and you've been watching Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day.